Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk about mutants in Marvel Future Fight because it's been almost a year since the last full mutant update, and it got me thinking about what Netmarble and what Marvel Future Fight has done right with mutant updates, what they've done wrong with mutant updates, speculating on maybe why mutant updates have not been released in a long time, and maybe giving you some more ideas on the future of it and maybe what you can do with your resources in the meantime, because mutants are a big part of Marvel Future Fight. They created a huge influx of players in 2017 when we got the original X-Men Epic Quest. But since then, the idea of a mutant update has gone from being easily one of the most hyped, if not the most hyped updates in the game. And I don't say that in an exaggerating way. Like, I'm definitely an X-Men simp. I streamed for 24 hours straight when the Rise of the X-Men Epic Quest dropped, but you can go back and look at the revenue. There was a spike in 2017 for the X-Men, and it had zero MCU connection. This update was actually probably the update that made the most money for Marvel Future Fight ever, outside of MCU type stuff. Obviously, nothing is going to compete with Infinity War, Endgame, stuff like that, but this was very impressive anyways, for a game that was still sort of finding its footing, still not a big game in 2017. But since then, in 3 years, basically less than 3 years, the attitude of the player base and the content and the sort of idea of, oh, we're excited for a mutant update has really changed a lot. So I want to dive into that. I want to talk about maybe what happened and how the player base sees mutant updates now, in case Marvel Future Fight and the devs don't know too much about that, and then maybe get an idea of how they could fix things, because I think nowadays the attitude that players have towards X-Men or any kind of mutant update is that they're cash grabs. I hear this so much. Every single time there's a mutant update, man, we're gonna get milked. They're going for the whales again, yada yada yada. And there's multiple reasons why the player base has felt like the mutant updates were seen as, or sort of gone to as, a money-making type of update to just generate revenue in between other updates. And you can look at that from multiple different angles. Obviously, you have the Epic Quest. You have actually 2 mutant Epic Quests at a time when we didn't have that many Epic Quests. We have more now, but at the time, we had Doctor Strange, Wolverine, and then, of course, we had Deadpool. So a lot of the Epic Quests were already skewing towards, right, at that time, 66% of the Epic Quests were mutant. And then you take a look at other things that were introduced, like the Deluxe Pack characters, Psylocke and Magneto, both seemed to be Epic Quests or Deluxe Packs that were going to generate a lot of money and generate revenue for the game. You also have the Crystal Wall characters. You've got Sabretooth, you've got Iceman, you've got Emma Frost, you've got Mystique, right? All of these characters besides Blue Dragon are all mutants. And now you have the Danger Room. So of course, players are going to look at this and be like, you guys are trying to sell us Magneto and Psylocke. I stumbled through that one, but okay, you want us to spend 6,600 crystals on these 2 mutants. Then you want to release 4 more mutants, or 3 more mutants who are all crystal, or actually 4, yeah, that are all crystal. Then you want to release another 3 mutants, Negasonic, Rachel, and Professor X, that are also going to cost us crystals in the form of the Danger Room, whatever they were called, Danger Room packs. Of course, don't ask me about Abomination. He's not a mutant, but you can sort of get you get that idea. On top of that, unfortunately, for whatever reason, Marvel Future Fight has not done a good job of balancing the power level of mutants. And someone asked me this maybe like a week or 2 ago, and it made me laugh my ass off a little bit. They said, who are the best characters from these 2 packs, right? This Bio subscription and the X-Gene subscription. And I went through this one and I picked out quite a few characters that are solid, right? There's quite a few. And then I went over here and I was like, who's good from here? Namor. And that's it. That's it. Now, there are other characters here that are good, but you can farm for Colossus, you can farm for Weapon Hex. If you really want to, you can farm for Gambit. Basically, the only good character here that you can't farm for, that is actually good in any capacity, is like maybe Kitty Pryde's leadership or Dazzler's support. But now with Null and stuff and Danger Room Extreme, you don't really need Dazzler. So they've had already almost 12 chances, so many chances to make the mutants good, the paywall mutants, and they failed so miserably. Juggernaut made no impact in the meta. Gambit definitely did, but Juggernaut didn't. Magic never made an impact despite getting a uniform. Jubilee never made an impact in the meta. Mr. Sinister and Kitty Pryde came into the game already underpowered for the content. Mr. Sinister came out at the same time as Mystique, Professor X tier 3, and right before Black Widow tier 3 and Hulk tier 3. Now picture Mr. Sinister sandwiched between Mystique and Professor X on one side and Black Widow, Yelena, and the Hulk on the other side. He's absolute garbage compared to those characters. And it kind of just blows your mind. It kind of just blows my mind when I think about it, and you look at it and you're like, man, they really don't know how to balance mutants. Like, they're really doing a bad job, and I can't really filter it out, but, you know, there are so many mutants now that they're just kind of like leadership or nothing, right? So many mutants that have very little, if any, value in the game whatsoever. And I'm not really saying this to say that they need to rebalance all of the mutants, but I will say this: because of their lack of ability to properly balance mutants, and because of the fact that they've released so many mutants that are expensive, i.e. they cost crystals rather than being farmable or whatever, for those two reasons, no one's hyped for mutant updates anymore. Because think about it, the last, 5-6 mutant updates, how many of those characters are still meta? Out of the last 5 or 6 mutant updates, how many of those characters are still meta? Well, of course, from the last update, which, by the way, the last mutant update was March 2019. So we're almost a year, or sorry, March 2020. We're almost a full year since the last mutant update. Mystique is still meta, but she's kind of starting to fall behind as we get more supports for null and stuff, and Professor X. That's it. Those are the only mutants. Weapon Hex is okay, but again, she's just a striker for one-shotting. That's it. People don't use Negasonic anymore. People don't use Strife for PvP. They don't use Cable for ABX. He's been replaced. And Cable's from like 3 years ago. Cable's not a new character. The mutants aren't in the meta at all, besides the ones that are already tier 3able and mostly for PvP with characters like Jean Grey, Apocalypse, stuff like that, right? I mean, Professor X is all right for PvE content. He's pretty good. He's not the best, you know. But yeah, so they haven't been able to build tier 3. I mean, even Storm is the last mutant to get tier 3. She's okay, but definitely not at the level of Ghost Rider, Dormammu, Thor even nowadays, right? This month, Loki. So what do people expect, right? People expect when players are told that there's a mutant update coming, the players are going to expect two things: underwhelming characters or bad uniforms for these characters, weak ass upgrades for mutants that really require a bunch more, like a way more effort and way more investment than the devs are going to give them with these corny uniforms, and they expect to be gouged for it. They expect that they're going to have to pay thousands of crystals. So of course, mutant updates suck. So that's why we haven't had one in almost a year. It's not because of the MCU, because there was no MCU for the last year. And that's what I also realized. There was no MCU, so they had all these comic book things to choose from. But because of the track record that they have for mutant updates, because they've let the players know time and time again, we're going to release these lame mutants, and then we're never going to give them love, and they're never going to have a place in this game at any sort of meaningful level, the players don't want that. They don't want it anymore. So when you have the surveys, the top 10 most requested characters, sure, you got like Havoc and Omega Red, or Polaris too. But okay, top 10 most requested characters, most of them aren't mutant. Top 10 reworks, none of them were mutant. Not a single rework chosen was mutant. Why? Because the players have a pretty good idea how your reworks are going to look. The reworks in this game for mutants generally suck. Look at Wolverine. Look at Cyclops. If your name's not Jean Grey, you're not getting a good rework, right? Jean Grey is one of the only mutants that they consistently know how to rework. So they need to turn that around. The devs need to change that, and they need to put way more effort into the next mutant update to change players' minds. And the perfect way to do that is to emulate this latest update. And that's why I wanted to make this video today. That's why I wanted to tie it into much more recent content, because you guys are probably scratching your heads like, You can't even remember the last mutant update. I don't blame you. The Krakoa update, it was an awesome hyped update, but it just didn't live up to the hype. But they have to copy this mold. They have to come out, again, I'm not telling them how to do their job, but I think it would work, personally. You tell me in the comments down below if you disagree with me, but I think here's what they need to do. They need to take 3 or 4 really hype mutants, like maybe not Colossus, because Colossus is really good. Colossus is the only other mutant that I didn't really touch on, but maybe, you know, maybe do like a Brotherhood of the Mutants update. Take Juggernaut, take Sabretooth, take Magneto, or, you know, take Domino, take some paid mutants, take some free-to-play mutants like Angel, Bishop, whatever, and rework them in a big way, on a big scale, like you did for Loki, like you did for Thor. You know, whatever. Do your testing, do your whatever, I don't know what you call it, right? But whatever. Do whatever marketing you need to do to figure out who these hot, spicy mutants are, and then build an update around them where they're going to get uniforms and they're going to be reworked, and that's the only cost. You're not going to have to pay extra to get the character. I guess it doesn't make that much sense, because if they give Sabretooth a uniform, players who don't have Sabretooth are going to have to pay crystals for him. So maybe they can work something out where they, you know, have a limited time farmable event for those characters. But that's basically, in my opinion, what they need to do. They need to come out with an X-Men update or a mutant update that is just like this Herald Thor update. No cash grabs, just a few amazing reworks for free-to-play characters, and then that's it. And then some content upgrades. And that's really what's going to change players' minds about mutant updates. Because right now, we're like, okay, Strife and Cable, cool, and that's it. And all the other mutants in the game who haven't gotten a tier 3 already, haven't gotten love yet, they're kind of just, we're just permanently sleeping on these characters. Permanently sleeping on them. Because they've let us down so many times, right? Look at Iceman. Look at Emma Frost. Look at Magic. Look at Jubilee, right? Kid Omega, if he wasn't for Shadowland, he'd be in the same spot. Even though he has a unique leadership. Psylocke's falling behind, Rachel's falling behind. Domino and Phantom X were never good, right? Rogue got a good rework, but still hasn't been enough. We're still waiting for her to get a tier 3 or something. X-23 was never good. So yeah, it kind of bums me out. I kind of don't like it. It does bum me out, because I do think that they're mishandling the mutants in Marvel Future Fight. I think the mutants could definitely be better, but I think that they need to put more effort into it. I think that they approach the mutant updates in a lazy way, or sort of like they just don't do enough research. They just don't do enough creative sort of brainstorming about the mutant updates. I think they definitely need to put more heart into it. If they put heart into it like they've been putting into the updates lately, it'll be a banger. Because the updates lately, despite the cash grab mechanics from, you know, Reforged CTPs and card crafting, the rest of the updates have been really good. Look what they did for the Hulk family, reworks, really nice buffs, really thematic. Look what they did for the Inhumans. Look what they did for Ghost Rider and those like fiery boys. Look what they did for the symbiotes, Carnage and Venom, you know? So they could do something really nice, right? They could take a couple of characters and sort of build an update around it. Like they could do like a Rogue and Gambit sort of like lovers update for Valentine's, let's say, for example, right? And they give Gambit a banging new uniform, and maybe they have a limited event where if you get Gambit bios in Danger Room, your bios are doubled. So it's like really, it's way faster to farm him, right? You just need to hit him once in the box, and you'll automatically unlock him 1-star, right? And then for Rogue, she's farmable, right? See, something like that. And then throw in a couple of other uniforms for like a couple of other characters, whatever, X-23 and Phantom X or something like that. One non-farmable, one farmable. I think that's really the way to go, personally. And I would like to see them do that, because I do like mutants. And there are still other mutants that I want to come to the game. We said Havoc, we said Omega Red, we said Polaris, but there's more. Blob, Toad, there's quite a few more. But you know what? I'll be honest, if they're not going to approach the X-Men and mutant updates the way that they've been approaching these updates, if they're going to go back to their same lame cookie cutter cash grab stuff, I don't really want another mutant update. I can live without those characters. I can live without Omega Red. I'll watch Bryant Grant, contest champion, play Omega Red in the arena or whatever, and I'll get my fix that way. We have a ton of MCU content slated for this year, so I doubt we might not even get a mutant update this year. So we might go 2 years without a mutant update. They may want to squeeze one in or two in. We'll see. But hopefully they do so with the same care and attention that they've been doing lately to these updates for these other characters, because the mutants deserve it just as much as these other characters do, at least in my opinion. But yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry for stumbling at the beginning of the video with my words, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.